Hello and welcome to a new Human Bloody Beginner Guide. In this guide I'm gonna try to teach you to be a competent human race player in Warcraft 3. I have an old Bloody Beginner Guide from 2020 when Reforged was new, and in it I teach you how to go for Archmage, Mountain King and Rifles from one base. It is the beginner level guide and you can find a link to it in my description. In this guide, I'm going to be turning it up a bit, and this is going to be an intermediate level. We're still going to be starting off with the trusty Archmage, and we're going to be going into the Mountain King. These things haven't changed, but in this guide, we are going to be going for a fast expansion build. And this is a little trickier, because there's more moving pieces, but you absolutely need to have the ability to fast expand as the human race in Warcraft 3. Humans are unique. After all, they are the only race that can power build, putting multiple peasants on a single building in order to make sure that you build that building faster. This makes them uniquely suitable to play a macro management oriented playstyle. Macro management meaning with a focus on your economy. We're going to be opening with a wall off in order to make ourselves safe against hero harassment. This doesn't come without its drawbacks, because making a full wall off means that we cannot escape into the back of our own base. But it is needed in order to be safe. The opening build is 4 peasants in gold, 1 on altar. Next one makes a farm for 4 seconds. Then makes the barracks. Next new peasant finishes the farm. The next peasant goes in gold, and after 5 seconds you pull a gold peasant and you make another farm. I did tell you it was going to be an intermediate level. If you want to simplify it, you can just do altar, barracks, farm, then fill the gold. Altar finishes, nicely in sync with the farm, and this is also why we make the farm for 4 seconds before finishing up and starting the barracks. Otherwise, your hero will be delayed by 4 seconds. This is not game breaking, but we try to get every edge we can in a game of Warcraft 3. Then we keep making peasants without any stops. And our next peasant, once we're at 18 food, is going to be going forward and making a farm in front of our base. For the purpose of this guide, our opponent is an undead player. Undead players tend to harass our peasants, and they're going to do so whether we are on one base or 2. We may feel like it is risky to go for a second base because we make ourselves harassable, but like I said, they are definitely going to harass us, so we might as well have 2 town halls in order to reproduce peasants rather than just the 1. We want to make a good economy. In this strategy, we will ignore the little things and we'll focus on the bigger picture. Losing a couple of footmen or peasants is not as big of a deal. It is more important for us to go to the late game and get our good economy going and buy time, always buy time. We're starting with the first green camp. Then we're gonna take the second green camp. We're gonna make a 4th farm. And once we are level 2, we'll be headed to our expansion. There are variations possible where we go immediately for our expansion and creep it immediately and throw down a second town hall immediately. But this is a far more advanced way to play. It is trickier, it is riskier. You could have your economy actually in much more trouble. And when you open with 2 camps into your expo, you make sure that level 3 is not far around the corner. You make sure that you have a better bedding of food and gold. Of gold and wood, I should say. No trouble. Alright. Now, normally we would expect a Death Knight harass to come out early. The Death Knight comes to kill some peasants and whatnot. But no Death Knight here yet. If he comes, we're gonna put 2 footies on the Death Knight, remove them from our control group. We're gonna scout with a footie now and remove him from the control group. And we'll also keep hitting the Death Knight with our Archmage. We bring 5 peasants as militia to creep the camp. And we put them in position to make the second town hall. We now have 5 on wood. We make the town hall. We start a green camp, but we want to be as near as possible to our expansion. And it turns out he did not go for a Death Knight harass. This is also popular. It is actually a Crypt Lord opener. So now we're gonna try to kill as many ghouls as possible. And try to keep our peasants alive. You can cycle them into the gold mine. As I said, ignore the little things. So we will lose some peasants and footies and whatnot. We have cloak, so we can actually dodge impale. That's a nice surround, but we have cloak. Otherwise we would have had to TP. We're gonna pull militia in. Cryptlord is a really good opener as it puts pressure with the amount of summons that he has. One thing you can do is you can put your peasants here in the nook and cranny. We're gonna have to cancel this one. We're gonna remake it and then we're gonna go for his gold mine. Do the same thing to him. Now, had we gone for an immediate expo, it might have been done, but it would be harder to actually counter pressure. Keep making peasants during all this, make sure to use control groups. That's why I always like playing these guides against the player, because it becomes an adaptive process. We're not looking to have perfect timings here, where no mistakes are made. We are looking to just get that expo up best we can. Now he's going to be having an Arubian. That's going to give him good micro advantage. We're just going to try to kill as many ghouls as possible while trying to save footmen as well. It gets harder and harder for him as it goes on, because he's going to run out of mana and whatnot. And we keep having water elementals. So economically, he starts mining a little bit earlier. He doesn't have dust yet, so we can actually hide once again. We're also going to go to tier 2. Now, in the old human style, that if you used to watch Warcraft 3, you may remember there'd be a lot of towers. But that is not that common anymore. Like, yes, we are going to make a bunch of towers, but not so much. The goal here is to buy time best we can with footies. Have one arcane tower in both. We're gonna make our lumber mill. We can power build the lumber mill. We're gonna make a shop. The shop should be as best defended as possible. So we're gonna make the shop right here, and we're gonna make a blacksmith here. These buildings serve as a blocker in order to keep our arcane tower safe. And the footies can stand behind the shop so that we can go for the regen scroll. Maxecution went for a really clever strategy that counters what humans usually try to do. Went for that big summon all in. He does have Impale, which can reveal a Cloak of Shadow person. We're gonna count wood peasants. About 10. If you have access to Shredder, that can help, but otherwise about 10 is a good amount. Now, again, like in 2006, you would now go 6 towers both bases, but towers have been nerfed a bit, and counters have improved from players. So if you do that, you're probably gonna like lose too much to a destroyer timing. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go around the side, I'm gonna try to kill acolytes. I think one guard tower is well considered and well placed against a Cryptlord player. Against Death Knight, yeah, maybe one guard tower as well. But after that, you don't gain a lot extra for spamming towers. You're looking to instead rely on units. Now it's also time to start opening up the base. He's still here, so we can't run in, and he's level 3. It's time to open up the base, so we're gonna chop this. Gonna get that one guard tower in each base. Now, we don't want to make riflemen. Can try to do a cheeky surround. A rifleman get countered by Impale, so ideally we want to play magic immunes and tanky units. Gonna get the immediate Mountain King here. Magic immunes, tanky units, and air units. That's how we want to be playing this one out. Because of Impale and Beetles. But otherwise, there's a wide variety of different strategies that you could go for. I think 2 Sanctum is alright for this spell. We're also gonna need information. So we'll send this footy to his base. He's coming to my base as well. We're gonna power build our Sanctums. We're gonna start getting sword attack upgrades, which works for Breakers, Knights, and for Griffins. Lumber harvesting upgrade would have been a nice addition. No riflemans. It may seem attractive at the time, but you're gonna regret it. Now we're gonna get information. He's on tier 2. He's got double crypt. That could mean gargoyles. It could mean gargs. He's looking to get the final creep. We're gonna get priest and priest upgrade. The biggest threats here are disease cloud meat wagons. They really stress priest healing. Gonna get second barracks, and then we're also gonna want to get a workshop soon. Ring of protection to Mountain King. Let's creep while we can. We didn't hurt his economy at all, which kind of sucks. At this time, we're gonna want to creep Mountain King only. Gonna get another sword upgrade. I don't really know what units I'm gonna be getting yet, but with another sword upgrade, we'll always make use of it, whether we go breakers or priests. And I'll get a breaker now. Clap or bash? I'll get clap. Regen scroll. And I feel we need workshop if he goes for destroyers, but he's not yet. We have this spell. We can use that on summons. Okay, we have the upper hand right now. If we didn't have upper hand, we would creep this and this. But now I feel like we can take a cheeky camp on his side of the map. And we are tier 3. We're rushing tier 3. We're gonna go knights. We're gonna get paladin third. A couple more priests. And heal scrolls, very important. Paladin coming out. Invil as well. Okay, we're looking to kill him now before he gets destroyers. Every game is going to be different. It's a very adaptive game plan. Wait, I need invul on him. We can also get Blizzard. Blizzard is a great way to devalue enemy destroyers and also to siege buildings. It makes Archmage a really big threat. If it is a one-base enemy undead, you can definitely consider going for footy defend upgrade and make up to 10 footies. Paladin should pick up Staff of Sanctuary and end up giving it. I think he's gonna TP up here, so I move my priest down. Oh, it's right here. Okay, and now we fight. We're hitting before he has tier 3, and we still do. Get inner fire upgrade, more priests, more knights. Breaker should be on his heroes. Knights are really good into fiends. Knights should focus fiends, breakers on heroes. We have our 2 attack upgrades on knights. Can give this one to him and this one to him. Gloves should probably not be on Archmage since he's blizzarding. Now let's talk about a couple of alternatives. If they are Night Elf and you're expanding like this, you should expect Keeper of the Grove with Entangle. You're gonna try to kill as many wisps as you can. You're gonna try to counter-attack their expansion if you can. They're gonna entangle your footies. You should last hit them to deny experience. If you're against an orc and you're fast expanding like this, you could expect Mass Raider all in, Mass Wyvern all in, and you're gonna really need to make use of this base layout and make more towers. Against Mass Raider all in, you should definitely rush out Arcane Sanctum in the safety of the back of your base. And you can make either Rifle Caster or just Mass Caster and Breakers. Both kind of works. The goal is to keep your expansion alive, which you can also do by making farms in front like this, which makes it harder for the raiders to surround your town hall. Night Elves on one base will do a Bear Bust, Druid of the Claw, a Master Training, and they'll attack. Get Breakers out. Breakers will steal Roar, and that helps a lot. They'll steal Roar and they'll steal Rejuvenation. Human Mirror, obviously it's gonna be a mirror. If you expand like this, you'll go Mass Breakers and Priests. Against the Night Elf that counter expands and then goes for like bears or mountain giants, you'll do an army exactly like what I'm showing now. If you're against an undead that one bases or two bases with destroyers, you need 2 to 3 workshop with flyings and attack upgrades. It's very tough to deal with it because until they morph their statues into destroyers, flyings are useless. But if you wait until they make 4 or 5 destroyers or even 3, then start making flyings, you'll be too late. So you kind of need like a predatory anti-air strike force of 6 to 8 flyings in order to deal with the initial group of flyings, of destroyers. And if they are like Fiend statue, then destroyers are always an option when they're on tier 3. And because Knights beat Fiends so hard, therefore they're probably gonna want to go for destroyers to deal with the Knights. Normally you'll lose more peasants while you're trying to expand against one base harassers. This time he went for a counter expansion. The key usually is to have 2 footmen on their hero, whether it's a Farseer, a Keeper, or a Death Knight. And every time they come in range, you use your Archmage to auto attack on top of their hero. And then eventually you're using the enemy HP on their hero as a resource that you're depleting. And that's how you get your expansion up. You'll try and fail and you'll try and succeed, but this is how you're gonna start the game. Make sure that you manage your wood economy properly. The more peasants you lose, the more you need to remake. If you can get a shredder, get a shredder. If they are countering with piercing attack units, definitely get the Defend upgrade and keep making footies. Maybe even a second barracks. Can really help dealing with archers, fiends, and headhunters. You probably won't face riflemen in Human Mirror. Then, after the Defend footies, you can transition to any of the other styles. Because you have a 2-base economy behind it, you will be probably lower heroes than them, especially lower second hero, but you'll have more stuff. Your next priority is always to try and creep up your heroes. You'll find yourselves in a situation sometimes where your Archmage 3, Mountain King 1, Paladin 1, against DK4, Lich 1, Dark Ranger 1, or even DK4, Lich 2, Pitlord 1, and it'll seem really tough, and you need to make use of Orb of Fire and Staff of Sanctuary and Knights and your superior economy and a couple of breakers and then some flyings to try and hold out for long enough to survive and then win via the units. It's a very exciting gameplay because if you don't lose more than like 2 peasants, you're ahead and then you can start the eco train. If you lose like 5 peasants when trying to expand, you're probably too far behind to be able to win the game. But that's often where the early game comes in. And then footman hit and runs, like with your Archmage and footies on their gold mine. You can do Zeppelin drops sometimes. These are all extra techniques you can apply to buy enough time for your tier 3 units to come in. There are tier 2 tactics as well after fast expanding, even when the opponent goes tier 3. For instance, if you're against a Night Elf, you could transition instead into rifles, breakers, priests, 1 sorceress, and then a couple of mortar teams. And that kind of army can work really well. And for this, I don't recommend Mountain King second, but either Blood Mage or Naga Sea Witch. You're against a Demon Naga, they're 1 base, they're bears, Archmage Naga or Archmage Blood Mage. And then the Blood Mage gives mana to the Archmage to summon more elementals. And yeah, you'll just try to use slow and elementals and breakers. And you hide behind your buildings, and then eventually you hope to survive and push them out. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck.